Every now and then, a simple coin from your change jar turns out to hold a secret, one that can completely change the way you see everyday money. Among the countless nickels that have passed through hands, pockets, and vending machines, the 1982 U.S. Jefferson Nickel stands out as one of those rare and mysterious coins that turned a minor minting error into a piece of history. To most people, it's just a 5-cent coin, but for collectors who know what to look for, this particular nickel could be worth far more than its face value. Some examples have fetched astonishing prices, ranging from $55,000 to as much as $146,000, depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin. The Jefferson Nickel has long been one of America's most iconic coins. First introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, it was designed by Felix Schlag, whose depiction of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse side in Jefferson's home, Monticello, on the reverse became instantly recognizable. By 1982, the design had already been in circulation for over 4 decades, and millions upon millions of nickels were being minted every year. But that year, something unusual happened, something that would later make the 1982 Jefferson Nickel one of the most talked about coins in modern U.S. minting history. The early 1980s were a turbulent time for the U.S. Mint. Rising metal costs and the introduction of new coin compositions led to several experimental changes. In 1982, while no official composition change occurred for the nickel, the Mint was dealing with several die and striking issues that resulted in a number of unique errors. These minting errors weren't immediately noticed, but they created a small batch of nickels that were anything but ordinary. One of the most famous 1982 nickel errors involves a dramatic double die strike on the obverse, where Jefferson's portrait and the inscriptions appear slightly doubled. Under casual observation, it might look like the lettering has a faint shadow or blur, but under magnification, the doubling becomes clear, especially around "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1982. These are not printing illusions or signs of wear. They are the result of a misalignment between the hub and die during the striking process. For collectors, that doubling is a treasure map, a sign that the coin is one of those extremely rare and valuable errors that slipped through the cracks of quality control. But the 1982 Jefferson Nickel doesn't stop there. Other known errors from that year include off-center strikes, where the design was imprinted unevenly, leaving a portion of the coin blank or missing. Some nickels were struck slightly off-axis, giving Jefferson's face a distorted look or cutting off part of the Monticello building on the reverse. There are even reports of 1982 nickels struck on the wrong type of planchet, using a blank intended for another denomination such as a penny or dime. These kinds of transitional errors are exceptionally rare, and when verified by professional grading services, they can fetch enormous sums at auction. Collectors are drawn to these coins not only for their rarity but also for their backstory. Every error coin tells a tale about a fleeting moment inside the mint, 1 second of imperfection during an otherwise flawless mechanical process. The 1982 Jefferson Nickel represents a blend of human oversight and machine misalignment, a reminder that even in precision manufacturing, unpredictability still plays a part. For many coin enthusiasts, that's what makes collecting so fascinating. The idea that the most valuable pieces often come from mistakes no one meant to make. When word began to spread among collectors about the rare 1982 nickel errors, the hunt was on. People began combing through old rolls of nickels, checking jars, and inspecting their change with magnifying glasses. Some of the earliest confirmed discoveries came from individuals who had been saving coins for years without realizing the treasure they held. One collector reportedly found a 1982 double-die Jefferson nickel while organizing his late father's coin collection. The subtle doubling on Jefferson's face and lettering caught his eye, and after professional authentication, it sold for over $70,000 at auction. As more examples surfaced, the coin's reputation grew. Auction houses and grading companies like NGC and PCGS began certifying verified 1982 errors, and prices climbed higher with every sale. Pristine mint state specimens, especially those with strong doubling or off-center strikes, have fetched upwards of $100,000. The rarest varieties, particularly those struck on incorrect planchets or featuring full visible doubling, have reached as high as $146,000, proving that even modern nickels can compete with the values of rare gold and silver coins from earlier centuries. Part of what makes this coin so captivating is its accessibility. It's not an ancient coin locked away in a museum. It's something that could still be hiding in an old coin jar or a forgotten collection. The 1982 Jefferson Nickel wasn't a limited edition or commemorative release. It was a circulation coin, minted by the millions. And yet, somewhere in that massive production run, a handful of coins came out imperfect. That means the possibility still exists that someone could stumble upon one today.to identify potential 1982 errors. Collectors look closely at several key areas. On the obverse, doubling around the inscriptions or Jefferson's facial features is a strong sign. On the reverse, a skewed or off-center Monticello can indicate a striking error. And of course, weight and coloration differences can point to planchet mix-ups. A coin that feels slightly lighter or heavier than a standard nickel might be a transitional error struck on the wrong metal. Even a minor difference could make the coin worth thousands. The year 1982 also holds a special place in U.S. coinage history for another reason. It was the same year that major changes were being made to the Lincoln cent, which transitioned from a bronze composition to a copper-plated zinc one. That shift caused a surge in minting anomalies across multiple denominations, including the nickel. The mint was under pressure, operating at high speed, and that environment likely contributed to the subtle but costly mistakes that created the 1982 Jefferson Nickel errors. What makes the 1982 nickel error story so engaging isn't just the financial value, it's the sense of discovery. There's something thrilling about the idea that one of these coins might still be out there, unrecognized, waiting in circulation. It's the kind of modern-day treasure hunt that sparks curiosity and imagination. Coin collectors, both experienced and new, are united by that sense of possibility, the chance to find history hiding in plain sight. Over time, the 1982 Jefferson Nickel has become more than just an error coin. It's a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of minting. Its imperfections highlight how even in a world of machines and precision, chance still plays a role. For collectors, that adds depth and meaning to the hobby. Owning one of these coins isn't just about value. It's about holding a tangible reminder of how small moments of imperfection can become moments of greatness. Auction records and collector reports show that the interest in the 1982 Jefferson Nickel continues to grow. As the number of verified examples remains low, demand continues to push prices upward. Each new discovery fuels more excitement, and every story of someone finding one in an old collection reignites the hope that more are out there. Some experts even predict that pristine examples graded MS67 or higher could surpass previous records, making this coin one of the most valuable nickels of the modern era. It's amazing to think that a coin worth just 5 cents could have such a journey. From an unnoticed error at the mint to a coveted collector's prize worth tens of thousands of dollars. That transformation captures the essence of numismatics, the thrill of discovery, the appreciation of history, and the value of rarity. The 1982 Jefferson Nickel reminds us that treasures don't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, they come in the form of a small, worn piece of metal that tells a story of chance, imperfection, and enduring fascination. So, the next time you handle a nickel from the early 1980s, don't be too quick to spend it. Take a closer look at the date, the design, and the details. That simple 5-cent coin might not be so simple after all. Somewhere out there, one of those rare 1982 Jefferson Nickel error coins could be waiting to be found. And if you're lucky enough to spot one, you won't just be holding 5 cents in your hand. You could be holding a piece of history worth anywhere from $55,000 to an astonishing $146,000. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary things can hide extraordinary stories, and that in the quiet hum of everyday life, true treasures are still waiting to be discovered. In the world of American coin collecting, few things stir more excitement than discovering that an ordinary piece of change is anything but ordinary. Among the billions of coins produced by the U.S. Mint, some slip through with subtle, fascinating mistakes, imperfections that turn common coins into incredible treasures. One such example is the 1974 U.S. Jefferson Nickel, a 5-cent coin that has quietly earned a reputation among collectors as one of the most intriguing mint-era discoveries of its time. What appears at first glance to be a typical nickel bearing Thomas Jefferson's portrait may actually hide an astonishing secret. Certain 1974 Jefferson Nickel era coins have sold for staggering prices, ranging anywhere from $64,000 to $152,000, depending on their rarity, condition, and the type of minting error they display. The Jefferson Nickel, first introduced in 1938, has been a constant presence in American pockets for decades. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features Jefferson's dignified profile on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the years, it has seen billions of strikes from the U.S. Mint, making it one of the most familiar coins in circulation. But familiarity can sometimes hide greatness, and that's exactly the case with the 1974 edition. This coin represents a fascinating chapter in minting history, where technology, timing, and human oversight converged to create a small number of remarkable errors that now captivate collectors. The year 1974 was a transitional one for American coinage. The mint was preparing for changes in metal compositions, experimenting with different alloys, and producing vast numbers of coins to meet the needs of a growing economy. Amidst all this production, mistakes were bound to happen. For the 1974 Jefferson Nickel, a few of these errors escaped detection, errors that would eventually make their way into circulation unnoticed for years. Some featured off-center strikes, others showed double-die impressions, and a few were even struck on planchets meant for other denominations. Each type of error tells its own story, and together, they form a fascinating portrait of minting unpredictability. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1974 Jefferson Nickel is the double-die obverse error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions that aren't perfectly aligned. The result is a coin where parts of the design appear doubled, most noticeably in Jefferson's eye, lips, or in the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." When seen under magnification, this doubling effect gives the coin a striking, almost ghostly appearance. Collectors prize these double-die errors because they are rare and unmistakable, physical proof that even the most carefully controlled process can yield surprises. Another fascinating 1974 nickel error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet isn't positioned correctly between the dies, causing the design to be struck off to one side. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin becomes, especially if the full date and mint mark remain visible. A 10% off-center strike might be interesting, but a 40% or 50% off-center example from 1974 can command incredible prices at auction. One such coin, showing Jefferson's portrait shifted dramatically while retaining the full date, sold for over $70,000. That sale set off a wave of interest in other 1974 nickel errors, pushing prices upward for well-preserved examples. But perhaps the most remarkable error of all is the 1974 Jefferson Nickel struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine finding a nickel that looks slightly too small or too light, perhaps even copper in color. That's because, in rare cases, the mint accidentally struck some 1974 nickels on planchets intended for other denominations, such as pennies or dimes. These errors are incredibly rare and immediately recognizable. A 1974 nickel struck on a copper penny planchet, for instance, would have a reddish hue instead of the usual silver-gray tone. Not only does this make for a visually stunning coin, but it also makes it extremely valuable, sometimes fetching between $64,000 and $152,000, depending on condition and provenance. Die cracks and cut errors from 1974 have also fascinated collectors. A die crack happens when the striking die develops a small fracture, leaving raised lines on the coin's surface. A cut error occurs when a piece of the die actually breaks away, causing a blank, raised area to appear on the coin where part of the design should be. These flaws give each coin a unique fingerprint. No two are ever exactly the same. A dramatic cud covering part of Monticello or Jefferson's head makes the coin not just a curiosity but a work of art born from imperfection. Collectors love these because they represent genuine minting history, a record of wear and failure within the die-making process itself. Part of what makes the 1974 Jefferson Nickel errors so desirable is that they come from an era when the mint was under pressure to produce coins rapidly and efficiently. The early 1970s saw significant demand for small change, and the mint's machinery was running at near-constant capacity. Under such conditions, it was almost inevitable that a few missteps would occur. What no one could have predicted was that those small oversights would one day produce some of the most collectible nickels of the modern era. For those who have never explored coin collecting, it might seem incredible that a simple 5-cent piece could be worth over $100,000. But for numismatists, every coin tells a story, and errors tell the most interesting ones. The allure lies not just in the money, but in the mystery. These coins are snapshots of moments when the system faltered just enough to let creativity and chaos leave their mark. They remind us that even in a world designed for precision, perfection isn't always the goal. Sometimes, it's the mistake that makes history. Collectors who own a 1974 error nickel often talk about the thrill of discovery. Many of these coins were found in ordinary places: coin jars, old wallets, even change received from a grocery store. One story tells of a man in Ohio who discovered an unusual-looking 1974 nickel with a faint double image on Jefferson's face. Curious, he brought it to a local coin dealer, who confirmed it as a rare double-die variety. That coin later sold at auction for more than $80,000. Another collector in California found a 1974 nickel struck on a smaller planchet while sorting through a bag of mixed coins from a bank. That piece, authenticated and graded in mint state condition, sold for nearly $140,000. Stories like these fuel the passion of collectors, inspiring countless others to check their change with renewed excitement. If you want to look for one of these rare 1974 nickels yourself, start by examining any older coins you might have tucked away. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the details. Look closely at Jefferson's profile for doubling or distortion. Check the edges for off-center strikes or unusual shapes. Notice the color and texture. Does it look coppery, lighter, or darker than normal? These are often the subtle clues that separate a common coin from a life-changing find. The magic of coin collecting lies in its unpredictability. You never know when or where you might stumble across a hidden treasure. Every coin you handle is a piece of history, shaped by the past, passed through countless hands, and potentially carrying a secret. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel reminds us that even the most common objects can hold extraordinary stories. As time passes, the number of known 1974 Jefferson Nickel error coins remains small, and demand continues to grow. Serious collectors and investors recognize these coins as modern rarities, pieces that bridge the gap between history and chance. Their value isn't just in their metal or design. It's in the story they tell and the rarity they represent. Each one is a testament to the unpredictable nature of minting and the beauty of imperfection. So the next time you find a nickel in your pocket, especially one from 1974, don't ignore it. Take a moment to look closer, because hidden beneath that worn surface could be a small piece of history, a coin born from error but destined for greatness. And if you're lucky enough to find one of those rare mistakes, you might just be holding a Jefferson nickel worth anywhere from $64,000 to $152,000. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always sparkle. It sometimes jingles softly in your hand, disguised as something ordinary, waiting for someone with a curious eye to see its true worth. In the world of American coin collecting, surprises never stop coming, and sometimes the most recent coins hide some of the most fascinating stories. One such modern treasure is the 2017 U.S. Jefferson Nickel, a coin that, at first glance, looks no different from the 5-cent pieces we use every day. You might have one sitting in your pocket or rolling around in your car's cup holder right now. But among the billions produced, a few rare 2017 Jefferson Nickels contain extraordinary minting errors that have turned them into incredibly valuable collector's items. Believe it or not, some of these modern nickels have sold for staggering prices between $37,000 and $112,000 depending on their rarity, condition, and the type of error they exhibit. What makes the 2017 Jefferson Nickel so special begins with the year itself. It was a landmark moment in U.S. mint history. For the first time ever, nickels minted in Philadelphia bore the P mint mark. Until 2017, Philadelphia had struck nickels for over 75 years without marking them with a P. This small addition was meant to commemorate the mint's 225th anniversary. It was a change that seemed minor at the time, but it made 2017 nickels instantly memorable for collectors. The presence of that tiny P under the date on the obverse side turned a simple coin into a historical first. And when rare errors appeared that year, they became all the more intriguing because of this milestone. The Jefferson Nickel design, first introduced in 1938, features the distinguished profile of America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, on the front with his home Monticello gracing the back. The design by Felix Schlag has endured for decades, evolving only slightly over time. By 2017, the mint had perfected its striking process, using state-of-the-art equipment to ensure each coin came out with sharp detail and precise alignment. But even in an age of advanced technology, perfection is never absolute. Every once in a while, something unexpected happens. A mechanical hiccup, a worn die, or a misfeed in the press, and a true rarity is born. One of the most famous 2017 Jefferson Nickel errors is known as a die clash error. This happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a blank planchet between them, leaving faint traces of one side's design imprinted onto the other. On the 2017 nickel, this error can cause ghostly images of Monticello to appear behind Jefferson's portrait or parts of Jefferson's head to show faintly on the reverse. The effect is subtle but eerie, almost like a hidden shadow or reflection in the metal. Collectors love these clash errors because they're like fingerprints. No two are exactly the same. Each coin tells a different story of what went wrong during production. Another highly sought-after 2017 error variety involves off-center strikes. In these cases, the planchet, the metal disc that becomes the coin, wasn't properly aligned during striking, causing the design to be shifted to one side. Some examples show as much as 40 or 50% of the design missing, while still keeping the date and mint mark visible. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. Perfectly preserved off-center nickels from 2017 have stunned collectors, with auction prices climbing toward $40,000 and even higher when authenticated by major grading services like PCGS or NGC. But perhaps the most fascinating and valuable 2017 Jefferson Nickel errors are the double die varieties. These occur when the die that strikes the coin is accidentally impressed with its design more than once but slightly off from the original position. The result is faint doubling visible in the inscriptions, like, "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," and sometimes even on Jefferson's profile. These double die errors are considered minting masterpieces, accidental works of art created by precision gone slightly awry. Collectors can spend years searching for them, and when a crisp example surfaces, it becomes a numismatic sensation. The excitement around these 2017 error nickels stems not only from their rarity but from the fact that they are modern. Most people assume that valuable coin errors come from older periods when the minting process was less refined. But the truth is, even in the digital age of coin production, mistakes still happen, and when they do, they become instant legends. For collectors, finding a modern error like the 2017 Jefferson Nickel feels like striking gold in the 21st century. It's proof that hidden treasures can still be found in everyday circulation. There are countless stories from collectors who stumbled upon these coins completely by accident. One man in Pennsylvania discovered a die-clash 2017 nickel in his pocket change from a gas station. Thinking it looked strange, he took a closer look and noticed faint lines where they shouldn't have been. When he sent it in for grading, it turned out to be a rare clash error worth several $1,000s. Another collector found an off-center 2017 nickel while searching through bankrolls and ended up selling it for over $20,000. These are the kinds of finds that inspire thousands of people to look more closely at their change every day. The 2017 nickels also represent a fascinating moment in American minting history. Not only was it the first year the P mint mark appeared on regular issue nickels, but it was also a symbol of how far the mint had come since its founding in 1792. To mark 225 years of coin production, the mint wanted to do something special, a small but lasting change that would stand out for generations. Ironically, it was the small imperfections and rare mistakes from that same year that made some of these nickels truly unforgettable. When these error coins appear at auctions, they attract major attention. Collectors know that not only are they rare, but they also have historical importance because of their connection to 2017's unique mint mark milestone. High-grade examples, those that have never circulated and retain their original luster, are especially prized. A flawless 2017 Jefferson Nickel error with dramatic doubling or die clash features can fetch jaw-dropping prices between $37,000 and $112,000. For a 5-cent coin that most people would overlook, that kind of value is extraordinary. The beauty of this story lies in its accessibility. You don't need to be a professional numismatist or a wealthy collector to find one of these coins. You just need a keen eye, curiosity, and maybe a little patience. The 2017 nickel is still young enough that many are still in circulation today. That means there's always a chance that someone, somewhere, will find another remarkable error hiding in plain sight. The thrill of that possibility keeps collectors searching, examining every coin, every roll, every jar of change, hoping to uncover a piece of modern minting history. For anyone who wants to check their own coins, the process is simple. Take a look at your nickels from 2017, especially those with the small p under the date. Examine them closely under good lighting. Look for signs of doubling in the lettering, faint extra lines around Jefferson's face, or parts of the design that seem slightly out of alignment. Even small errors can be worth investigating. A magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe can reveal details invisible to the naked eye. And if something seems unusual, it's always worth getting it authenticated by a professional grading service. The 2017 Jefferson Nickel reminds us of an important truth, that even in a world dominated by mass production and precision, human error still has a role to play, and sometimes those errors lead to beauty, intrigue, and immense value. Each of these rare coins represents a perfect balance between history, technology, and chance. They are tiny reminders that perfection isn't always what makes something valuable. Sometimes, it's the imperfection that tells the best story, so next time you get a handful of change, don't be too quick to spend those nickels. Take a moment to look at them, especially the ones from 2017. Because hidden among the ordinary coins of everyday life might be one extraordinary mistake. A rare Jefferson nickel that could be worth anywhere between $37,000 and $112,000. It's proof that even the smallest coins can carry the biggest surprises, and that history, value, and mystery can still be found in the most unexpected places. The 2017 Jefferson Nickel stands as a modern symbol of that magic, a simple 5-cent coin that has captured the imagination of collectors across America, reminding us that treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered in the change we carry every day.